Chuck Rosenberg, the acting administrator of the Drug Enforcement Agency, recently called the notion of smoking medical marijuana a joke. What is a joke is the job Rosenberg is doing as acting DEA administrator. He's an example of the inept, misinformed zealot who has mismanaged America's failed policy of marijuana prohibition. Americans recognize it's time for a change in direction to legalize, regulate, and tax marijuana. 58% now support legalization, continuing an upward trend in public opinion and at the ballot box. Over 75% of American public supports medical marijuana, as does a majority of American physicians. Rosenberg claims medical marijuana is a joke. But the proven therapeutic value of cannabis has prompted 23 states, Guam and the District of Columbia, to approve its medical application, and an additional 17 states have authorized more limited use. Rosenberg's claim that more research is necessary is true, but it reeks of hypocrisy because the DEA, under his leadership, has made badly needed cannabis research difficult, often impossible. If Rosenberg were doing his job, he could have visited with some of the hundreds of thousands who have found medical marijuana has had a profound effect on their lives and that of their families. President Obama is the first sitting president to tell the truth about cannabis. His administration has not acted to shut down the adult or medical reforms sweeping the country, but sadly, it isn't just his DEA administrator who's undercutting his policy. Last month, the Department of Justice took an outrageously flawed position on the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment that passed with strong bipartisan support, which clearly specified that the federal government should interfere with state legal medical marijuana operations. The Department of Justice and the DEA contends that it only prevents action against states, not individuals. This is a ridiculous interpretation of the law and caused a federal court in California to rule, quote, it defies language and logic in deciding against them. More recently, the Senate passed the Milcon Appropriations Bill, which included an amendment offered by my colleague in Oregon, Senator Merkley, mirroring my legislation to allow VA doctors to recommend medical marijuana to their patients in accordance with state law. Yet, on November 13th, the Department of Veterans Affairs indicated they won't allow doctors and patients to participate in state legal marijuana laws, even if this bill becomes law. Sadly, these actions by administrating officials are indicative of a throwback ideology rooted in the failed war on drugs, which needs to stop. They do not reflect the overwhelming body of evidence about the effects of medical marijuana, the reforms happening at the state level and in Congress, or the opinion of the American people. They don't reflect the statements by the President himself and the official policy promulgated by Deputy Attorney General Cole outlining the administration's commitment to stay out of the way of state marijuana laws. There's overwhelming evidence that marijuana offers relief when nothing else has helped, including more effective pain management tools than highly addictive narcotics, as opioid overdoses are skyrocketing and we have an epidemic of heroin abuse. Sadly, the culture of opposition in the federal government continues. On one level, we have this amazing progress at the state and local level. We've made significant progress here in Congress with the introduction of over 20 bills in both chambers dealing with federal treatment of cannabis and hemp, and there have been successful votes on 3 amendments on the floor of the House and 3 in Senate committees in this Congress. This culture needs to change. Leadership needs to change. Rosenberg is clearly not the right fit for the DEA in this administration. I would hope that the President directs the heads of all relevant agencies to adjust their policies, clarify regulations that deal with marijuana laws, establish policies that reflect changing state laws, and most important, reflect the President's own position. He has said that he has bigger fish to fry than interfere with state legislative efforts. It's time that the rest of his administration gets on board, and it should start with a new head of the Drug Enforcement Agency.